I will happily wait for that day where Palestinians can be who they are, how they used to be, and how they will be, with no connection to Zionists ever. Because we were something before, we still are something, and we will become who we used to be without them. And that's it.
Judy Al-Qalla, we are super excited to have you with us on Tarwida. Thank you so much for your time and for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to speak with you.
You know, while I was prepping up for this conversation, I felt like maybe I should give myself a second chance in the kitchen because I'm not a good cook, I admit it. But I have your beautiful book.
Oh,
يعني,
thank
this is,
you.
it's not product placement, wallah, I swear. But I have the beautiful book and it's so appetizing and it's also like, it's hard dishes, but you make them like easy for us to digest, our generation at least. So
Yeah.
thank you for that, and I'll let you know if I improve.
That was the aim, really, because when I was speaking to my mom and my aunties and titas, they would talk about a recipe for 2 hours. I'm like, but people don't live like this anymore. We need to shorten and make it faster because we don't have 4 or 5 hours to make something. So they were watching everything I was doing to make sure that I didn't take out too many things. I took out steps. I didn't take out ingredients. So just to make people feel like, I can do this because it gets overwhelming. So yeah, I'm happy you're trying it though.
And you know, Palestinian or Arab mothers and aunts, I find it very, very charming, but also very funny. Like cooking to them comes naturally. So when you ask them for a recipe, like someone, I'm 32 years old, okay, and I'm living the lifestyle you just mentioned. When I call up my aunt and I'm like, oh, give me the recipe for maqlube, and she's like in her 70s, and she'll be like, yeah, you know, just رشي رشة ملح على الريحة. I'm like, شو على الريحة? Like, it's شو على
Yeah.
الريحة? Like, tell me quantifiable information. Or like, رشة بهارات. And I'm
Yeah.
like, tell me which kind of baharat? When
Yeah.
should I do it? How
Yeah.
much?
It's all by touch and by sight, and you'll get there. I think once you do it once and it works, you've got it. It doesn't take when you know time to make. That's the most important thing. I think recipes are
Exactly.
just a
Inshallah.
guide. That's what I tell everyone. My recipes are just a guide, and then you make it your own after that. So yeah.
So tell us more about how you'd like to introduce yourself. Like, obviously, you're a Palestinian chef, but you're also more than that. So,
Yes,
how would you introduce yourself?
I am Palestinian and a chef, and I am also an activist. I'm an author, I'm a daughter, I'm an auntie, I'm a lot of things. I'm a painter. I like to do things with my hands and make things all the time. So if my house is, I've sold quite a lot of paintings, but my house, all the women paintings I've got here are all mine. They're all Palestinian women in their power, just showcasing who we actually are, not who media shows us to be, because I think we are misrepresented a lot. So when people come to my home, you really feel like a sense of identity here. And I try to bring it out in my food, obviously, and my books and in my painting. And that's
Amazing.
me in a nutshell, but there's so many other things as well, which is not part of this podcast.
Amazing. Yeah, and you keep surprising us. The more I read about you and talk to you, I keep finding surprises that I didn't know about.
Yeah,
You're a very talented person, that's for sure.
thank you. Thank you. It's a part of who we are. I think you have to kind of keep reinventing yourself and see what you can do. I feel a bit claustrophobic to stick to one thing all the time, so I try to just venture out and do different things and see if it works or
Yeah,
not. I
yeah.
think you have one life, so you might as well try whatever you can. That's my
Exactly. So tell us, if we want to zoom in on one of your many talents, which is cooking, tell us a bit how it started and how you picked it up.
It started really when I was young. I was very anxious and stressed. I'm one of four girls, and my brother is the last. He came fifth, and I was just stressed about him being around. And my mom just kind of took me in the kitchen with her, and my auntie, Lamia, she used to live with us for quite a long time. She's my second mom, to be honest with you. And it just went from there. It kind of calmed me down. It made me feel really safe and happy. And I love touching things and making things. So that's where it came from. And then eventually I just felt like this could be my life and my job. But obviously I was like 7, 10, 15, 17. And I'm like, what is this real? Um, And yeah, my dad kind of pushed me to just finish my studies and then do a master's and see if I really still wanted to do this. And I did. And I was good at school, but I just didn't enjoy things like that. I didn't want to ever sit at a desk and do a job like this. My brain didn't work that way. I needed to be busy, like burning energy all the time. And I did it. And he let me, I mean, this is like 27 years ago. So it was quite a different thing. And there were not many women in kitchens, generally in London. I mean, I don't know about any other country, but I lived here. So it was a very, very difficult position for me because I was the only woman every single time in any restaurant, in the kitchen. But I loved it. There was the energy, the stamina, the movement, the heat, the noise, yeah, it made my brain switch off.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. That's so inspiring. I love when dads كده يعني they
It took
get
a
their
while.
daughters' backs.
It took a while, but yeah, he got my back, and I think that's what, yeah, pushed me. And I also wanted to prove that I wasn't going to fail and I wasn't going to stop. So kind of, for even if I didn't like it, I was going to do it to the death just to make sure I was right. But yeah.
Yeah, and we need to thank your brother for like stressing you out because apparently we found you a great talent.
Yeah, he had no idea what his birth did to me, but it brought on all of this. So yes, Muhammad, thank you. You are the reason for all my success. Yeah.
Thank you, Muhammad. You know, a lot of people say that you get to know a people through their food. So do you believe that this is true? How do you feel about that?
Absolutely. I think the dinner table, the food, the family, the community, the connection, it's all part of who we are. It's not just something to nourish our bodies. It's all stories and memories. I know my mom used to cook certain dishes. Now we knew, but back then she didn't tell us why she was making a certain dish because we were young. And it's all zikrayat, right? Our stories are in our food. And for me as well, when I started writing my books, it wasn't even writing my books. I was writing the recipes just to log them for me. It wasn't an intention to have a book. But when I was writing the little stories before them, I realized it's like when I missed my mom, I would, because she used to travel for 2-3 months at a time, I would make mlokhiyeh. And if I missed my sister, I would make yalanji. And if I missed something, it was always a missing, something where I felt like I needed like a hug in food. And I think our theaters, they used to come all the time and bake a lot of pastries. And it's part of our fabric that these recipes are passed from us, and you can really tell where someone's from, and also the amount of, the amount of love they have. My mom showed us love through cooking. And if we didn't eat the food, she felt offended. And it wasn't because she thought we didn't like her food. It's because she didn't think we love her enough. So we were always like stuffing our faces. And I think I do the same thing, and I do my events and I get stressed if people, if I see they don't like something, I take it personally to me as a Palestinian woman, and what's wrong with this? But we're putting our life, our soul, our stories and everything into every grain of rice that is on the table. So yeah, you can see where someone's come from and how much they, have put into something when they serve you, and it's fantastic.
And given that your parents, sought refuge in Syria, and you yourself, you were born in Syria, how do you describe your relationship to that place?
I think it's amazing. I think a lot of people don't realize that a lot of Palestinians, like I think 800,000, had to flee when the Nakba happened, and we had to disperse to Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, and other countries. And these places, some of them did not welcome us, obviously, because there was a lot of people coming and they were fearful that we were going to take over, which is understandable. But also, a lot of countries did look after us and let us have a chance to build a new life and start from there. And Syria for me was amazing memories. I just remember very, very few things. I don't know why, if I blocked a lot of stuff, but I remember just cooking a lot and going out to the market and bringing spices and rice, and my tetas and aunties. Both my parents lived in the same place, and that's how they met. And it was just big families of people just kind of going up and down. And I loved it, and it was home for us. And my mom also, every year we'd go back after we left, we'd go back to visit my teta. And the Syrian influence is seen a lot in my second book, Beladi, because that book was more a book on people in the diaspora, with Palestinian food from
Mm.
who lived in Lebanon and Syria, Jordan and America and Egypt and all these other countries. So it's a big influence. It's just our Palestinian way of making their Syrian dishes, but still authentically Syrian, but with our twists. So it's home for us.
Mm. Mm.
Wherever anyone ended up, it became a second home. Yeah.
And even though you were born in Syria, I think you lived only 4 years there. You wrote in your book, Palestine on a Plate, that you didn't know Arabic fluently until you were 21 years old.
Yeah.
So tell us more about that, because I found it very interesting that learning the language apparently unlocked a lot of your interest and curiosity in
Yeah.
Palestinian culture and cuisine. And I found it interesting that language was your entry point.
Yeah. My mom did try to teach us Arabic, me and my brother. My other sisters knew how to speak, read, and write because they went to school in Qatar and then in London. But me and my brother, I think she was also tired. She was new to England. She was learning English, and my father also. So they wanted to learn how to speak English and not forgot about us. Just it became difficult to kind of manage teaching us Arabic and them learning English and school and homework. So it kind of just disappeared. And then later, I kind of realized that I don't understand anything what's happening at home. Like they're talking, the akhbar is on the akhbar is on the news, the akhbar is on the TV, and I panicked a little bit and just sort of ignored it for a while. And then we went to Lebanon. I know they speak English. I had a lot of people telling me like, oh, they speak English and French in Lebanon. How come no one knew what you were saying? In the area I was in, nobody knew how to speak English when I got lost. And I panicked because I couldn't tell them where I lived and I needed to get home. And when I came back to London, I just thought, I'm Palestinian and I can't speak Arabic. I can speak French fluently and English, and this is not okay. So I started having classes to learn how to read and write and speak. And I had this amazing Algerian teacher who was like a translator at the UN, and she taught me Palestinian Arabic. I said, I don't want to learn Lebanese Arabic or Syrian Arabic or Jordanian Arabic. I want to sound like where I'm from. And she did lots of different dialects. So I love that my Arabic is not just mkassar and it's like weird mix of anything. It's very Palestinian. And it just opened up something in me, and I suddenly could understand things better, and it just changed me and gave me another dimension and a bit more depth into who I actually am. Because I think, when you read things and poems and stuff, you can't translate them. I mean, they're translatable, but they just don't translate as well as they are read in the natural native language that things are written in.
Mhm.
And I think that's what kind of made me pop inside. Like, yeah, I've got this now. I know who I am, and I can participate in my life more with confidence.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm. And you do mention that you love Mahmoud Darwish
Yeah.
in several instances. And actually, I admit I stalked your Instagram, so it's okay. I hope that's not creepy.
Absolutely.
But I love that you used a line from Mahmoud Darwish's poem to Edward Said as part of your bio,
Yeah.
as he says, أنا من هناك أنا من هنا ولست هناك ولست هنا. So translating it would be, I'm from there, I'm from here, I'm not from there, not from here. So tell us about why you chose this line and what does it mean to you?
It's literally exactly what it says. Sometimes it is just as simple as it is, that you are from somewhere and you're living somewhere else, but you don't belong where you are, but you don't fit where you're supposed to be. Because the more you realize what's happened in your life, and not my life, your life, like the world, the more you realize how actually messed up everything is, and how, we were taught so many things that are incorrect, because history is written by the winners, right? Or the more powerful, or the more whatever you want to call them. And everything I thought I knew was just not right. It was distorted, it was incorrect. And I didn't realize how much Britain was complicit in so many things, not just Palestine, but just colonizing the world. And, going back to Arab countries, I felt out of place because I was very British. Being here, I was, thinking about it the other day because I watched so many racially provoking things online. And I was talking about it to somebody, and I was telling them how many times I've been attacked racially. But I ignored it because I'm British, right? I don't care. But I actually did care because I was called a terrorist. One guy used to call me Jihadi Judy. Every time I came to work, I was called a Muslim freak. I was attacked very recently in June by a guy who like did this to me. And he's like, oh, I'm not a North London Jew, but Catholics love to kill people. And this is what Christians do. And I was like, what the hell's going on? I was just walking with my keffiyeh and it was wild. You know, I just thought this is not okay. And I felt like I just don't fit here. I want to leave this country, but I thought, where would I go? I don't fit in Arab countries. I don't fit here. Do I go to Europe? Do I go to Asia? Do I go to... and that's why I put that there from a while ago, because I really feel, not just me, but a lot of Palestinians and Arabs and everybody actually who isn't from where we're actually living in, we don't fit in, but we do contribute to our communities and our culture and our lives and our where we live. But where is home? I have a homesickness for somewhere I don't know. And I think I'm not the only one. And Mahmoud Darwish's poems like kill me. You know, I read them. And in one sentence, he's talking about a woman and her beautiful apricot cheeks. And then he's talking about being in a cell with a little bit of sunlight. And it's such extremities, but it's the reality of what's happening. And people need to sort of take notice. And again, English translations don't work so well, but it hits you somewhere deep that you didn't know was empty, and it needed to be filled with all these beautiful, painful words. I suggest everybody go and just listen to his voice. That's more, it's not just reading it. His voice and how he says things just makes me want to cry.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And it is, as you said, like it's a collective feeling, and it becomes even worse when you're living in an Arab country. Like I've lived all my life in Jordan, Lebanon, and now in Egypt, and I still feel homesick.
Yeah.
So maybe you, يعني, living in the West, you'd feel that if you were living in an Arab country, you wouldn't feel this homesickness. But يعني from experience, it's not necessarily true. And I know even people in Palestine who also feel homesick. So it's this like collective feeling, I think, that is really, I feel like it's a generational thing that we are all feeling. Maybe towards like going to going back to Palestine before 1948. So maybe it's related to time more than place. I don't know what it is about, but
I don't know
it's
what it
definitely
is.
like
Everyone's fragmented, you know, like the thing is everybody lives everyone lives in different places. My sisters live in Jordan, my brother's in Qatar. I'm here, my dad and mom are here, but they're thinking of moving. All our friends have left and gone to different places. So it's not like you have that beautiful community of things that you were able to lean on and rely on. And I think for me, that's what it is. I feel like I'm just not sure where we fit anywhere, but we have to make the most of what we can and what we have, because this is life, and leave our mark everywhere we go.
You reminded me of Fairuz's song. I love it. She says, "أنا عندي حنين ما بعرف لمين." I have nostalgia to something that I don't know. I don't know what it is, and it's exactly what you just explained.
I love that.
And I was very moved, by the way, when I found out that in Palestine on a Plate, which was released in 2016, you quoted Rifat al-Ar'ir. I found that very moving because unfortunately a lot of people got to know about Rifat, including myself, after he was martyred or after the genocide in Gaza took place. But it was very refreshing to know that actually people knew him before, and he's an amazing person. Like I was very annoyed by myself, like for not knowing this amazing human being before the genocide happened. And it's kind of ironic, like, why did he have to die for us to hear about him? So thank you for including him and for...
it was painful, honestly. You know, when I saw the news, we were not close. I knew him. We had emailed multiple times about this quote, if I could use it, because obviously it's in his book, Gaza Writes Back. And then we kept in touch, but not too much, obviously, because life goes on. And then I saw the news and I was like, oh my God, like I felt sick. And I'm like, if I feel like this and I don't really know him that well, and we passed multiple emails over the years, what does it feel like for anyone else who does know him and loved him and cared about him and were part of his poetry? And it's a tragedy. you know, and the thing that he said, that if they come and storm my house, that I will just throw my marker pen at them, and that's his resistance, right? And that's really something that is very difficult for people to kind of swallow, that
Mm-hmm.
you're killed because you're a poet, because your words hurt your occupier, and that it's just Adi that he got killed and his family. And it's not shocking to people. I mean, to us, yes, but that when we complain and we fight and shout and post and talk, it's just another body count for them. But he left amazing things for us, for people to try to strive for, um, because I think this is what Palestinians do best. I've never met any Palestinian who is not accomplished in some way or another, or trying to do something and use their
Mm-hmm.
voices. And his voice, I'm so happy that I had that, because that, I mean, I'm going to read the quote because, sorry, I'm going to stretch
Yes.
over because I love it. And it meant so much to me, because for me, I read it, I'm like, that's what I feel, right? So it says, sometimes a homeland becomes a tale. We love the story because it is about our homeland. And we love our homeland even more because of the story. And I think this resonates with every Palestinian or anyone who's been displaced in life in general. And our stories are what make us, and what make our books and our music and our clothing and whatever it is that people are trying to do to keep Palestine alive. And I thank my mom and my grandmothers and my aunties and my dad for reminding us and making sure we don't forget, because when they pass, it's us who have to kind of pass the torch on to other people and kids and the younger generation. So yeah, people like Rifat Al Arir and other people, Mahmoud Darwish and Ghassan Kanafani, and they really have influenced and penetrated the hearts and souls of people who didn't necessarily know who they were, because it's so old fashioned, right? But old is gold.
Exactly. And the thing is, like, keeping the legacy alive, as you just explained it. The problem with it is that it's sometimes really tough, especially if you're living in the West, and you've experienced this with your book, Palestine on a Plate. So tell us a bit about, the drama that happened with the publishers, with the name, with.
I mean, basically, everybody knows the story, and I was pretty shocked when it happened at the time, and I was just panicking. Nobody wanted to publish my book. They loved my book, they just didn't like the title, and everybody rejected it, rejected me, and I was also rejecting their rejection, because I just thought, I'm not going to change the name. I've written this because I want to dedicate it to my mom. And I told you in a conversation before, I mean, this is not an attack on anyone, but I don't consider myself an Arab. I consider myself a Palestinian. Um, for multiple reasons, because a majority of Arabs and the Gulf have let us down. They didn't support us in what's been happening. I don't associate in that department. We obviously know some countries have helped us, and it's so appreciated. But in that particular instance, I wasn't going to back down to change the name to like Levantine food or cuisine or something from, the Middle East. I don't consider us the Middle East to anything. I got left with one publisher, and she eventually took a chance on me. Jackie Small, she was amazing, and she was so surprised. She knew about Palestine and Israel, but the Israeli version, the propaganda version, the fake lies. And then she saw my stories and my pictures and my videos and my, everything, and she gambled on it. And she actually just told me 3 weeks ago, I had dinner with her, and she said to me that she had to put her own money to print and publish this book, because
Wow.
even though she owned the publishing house, she only had a certain percentage, and the rest of the percentage team did not want her to do it. So she paid from her money privately to do this book. And I said, so I didn't know that. And she's like, it's not your concern to know that, but that's the way that Palestine on a Plate actually came about. That I used my money, and my husband was like, are you sure you're going to do this? You don't even know this girl. And she's like, I know what's in this book, and I know that people are going to love it. It's a story that needs to be told. And honestly, she made me cry, because I met her only one time, and she banked a lot of money on me. And that's how it came about. And it made it even more special 3 weeks ago when she told me this. So yeah,
Amazing.
I think people have to kind of stick to their ground. It was the first book with Palestine on it for a cookbook. And I immediately had a American publisher, Interlink Books, who are amazing. They're like my Palestinian family. So it was really, really nice to have had both at the same time, which is quite unusual. You usually get one, and then 6, 7 months, 10 months later, you might get another print. But yeah, and then it was born, and then Beladi came. She asked me to write another book because she was so happy, and she actually retired on Beladi. Like that was her last book that she printed, and I was so honored that she chose my book to be the book that she ended her career on. So obviously we make an impact.
Yeah. So thank you for Judy's moms and aunties and for Muhammad and for Judy's publisher.
Yeah. Yeah, all of them, everybody, and me.
Of course. I mean, that's يعني من غير ما
I'm
نحكي.
just teasing. My mom, by the way, تزعل كتير because her name is Mama, right? I don't call her Fadia because that's her name, it's Mama. And she's like, اسمعي حطيتي لميا وشهلة ودنيا ونظمية ورسمية وفتحية you know, whatever, I don't know, خيرية. ما حطيتي اسمي. قلت لها بس انتي اسمك ماما. قالت لي لا انا فادية. قلت لها لا بس الي انه انتي انه ماما's متبل, mama's this. She goes بس انه مين ماما. I'm like انتي, you're mama to everybody. She
to
was
be
like,
honest,
next
I'm with
book...
her on this.
I know, but it's weird to write Fadia. And then I said to her, in the next, she's like, next book بتحطي اسمي أو بتشوفي شو بصير. So the next book I'm gonna have Fadia as everything. But she was just like, no. I'm like, but look, Mama, everyone would write me like, I'm doing Mama's in Tabal, I'm doing Mama's this. I'm like, you're everybody's Mama. She's like, yeah, أنا تعبت من 5 هلا, I have more.
I didn't sign up for this, but I'm biased towards the name because my sister's name is Fadia, and by the way, she's an amazing cook and she loves you. She's like, oh my God, you're interviewing Judy. Like,
I love her.
Yeah, I even took her like input in like the questions and everything.
Habibti, so thank you.
So go Fadias.
Go Fadias. Yeah, next one, Khalas, I promise.
But you know, circling back to what you said about titles and about the Levantine cuisine, a while back we interviewed Fadi Qattan in one of her episodes, and he was saying the same thing about Levantine. He said like, basically it's a bullshit word, and it's kind of like used, especially in the West, it's used to whitewash Palestinian food, you know, just like compiling Palestinian and other Arab food under this Mediterranean or Middle Eastern or Levantine term. And so he was pushing towards like calling dishes by their countries' names, like Palestinian or Syrian and Lebanese. And he was backing this up by showing us the differences, even if like slight differences, but the differences in each dish, given that it's Palestinian versus Lebanese versus Syrian. And we put that up as a cut down on social media, and hell broke loose.
Yeah.
A lot of people were like, exactly, we've been waiting for someone to speak up our minds. And it got a lot of shares. It's like the most viewed reel on our social media. But at the same time, there was a lot of like people disagreeing with him. And I'm going to read a couple of comments that we received. Someone said, a recipe in South Lebanon is more similar to a recipe in North Palestine than in North Lebanon. A Shami or Levantine cuisine is more inclusive to the region. Another said, I'm fine using a different word in English to describe food in the region, but that doesn't mean that the idea behind the term is wrong.
Okay.
And someone else said, who benefits from this insistence on infraction? And we're like one region and we have a shared history. So if we focus on the countries' names instead, we'll be falling into this, trap of limiting our shared history and of being ultra-nationalistic, especially that the borders of our current nation states are also, they're colonial inventions. They've literally drawn the borders in the sand. So what's your take on this?
I agree with Fadi. I think we have to keep our identities. It doesn't mean that we hate Lebanese or the Lebanese don't like the Syrians and the Jordanians have an issue. It doesn't have to be us against each other just because we want to hold on to what we have. We have to remember that our fight and why we're so, strongly fighting for this is that we have one common denominator. One common factor here is that Israel is basically destroying everybody. They're attacking our countries. They're stealing our food. They're taking our music. And we have to remember that is the base of everything. Why we are so stuck on really identifying who we are to the city and not just the country. I think Fadi's right because for me, like I said, I don't associate myself as an Arab anymore, and for quite a long time, not just since the genocide. It's been quite a long time. Again, this is not an insult to Arabs in general in that whole area, but I don't think we all need to be knotted into one. Yes, we have a shared history, but also we have our own identity. And whether these, lines have been drawn in the sand, they're still drawn, and we are fighting our borders fiercely to keep them for us. And obviously, we've seen what's happened to Palestine and how it's just become a whole occupied land. If we started saying, oh, our food is like Lebanese and Syrian and Jordanian, no problem with that. But we can also still be proud to say that's actually Palestinian. And again, it's more about saying, yes, it can be Jordanian, Lebanese, Syrian, and Palestinian and Egyptian, but it's definitely not Israeli. And I think that's where a lot of people have a problem with things, where they think it's about us fighting each other. Actually, it's us fighting with them, that they cannot take our food and our culture and our history and our stories and so many other things. And I think people get very heated up. I'm going to tell you a story about in Palestine on a plate. My dad's family taught me how to make kak al-Quds, or just kak, right? And it looks like this. And this is my Palestinian kak. I got an email from a very angry lady called Sandra. Not one email, maybe 300 emails from her about this, and that I'm a disgrace and I can't be Palestinian and this is a Lebanese. And I said to her, yeah, but my dad's family comes from Safad, and Safad and Lebanon are literally on the border, and the Lebanese version came to him rather than the Jerusalemite one because that was too far. They'd never been to Jerusalem. So his kak looked like this. And she kept going on and on and on, and how I'm not Palestinian and my dad is a disgrace. And this, I was like, I called my dad. I'm like, did you do something to somebody called Sandra? Because she's so angry with you and she just cannot let this go. He's like, who's Sandra? I'm like, she hates you because she thinks that we're, letting Palestinians down. Right. This is a bread. It's important, right? But the dough recipe is the same as if it was shaped in the oval of the Jerusalem kak or this way. And that just triggered me into such a frenzy that she was so relentlessly abusing me and not remembering the history and geography, right? And lots of Palestinians couldn't move from different area to area, so they couldn't experience what the kak and kak al-Quds tasted like or looked like. And people in Gaza had not eaten certain things, and people in where my dad is from never ate fish. When my parents got married, my mom's food, she's from Jaffa, and the lid, it was like an alien menu to him. And he was like, are you actually Palestinian? This is not food I know, because they eat lots of burghul and lamb and mutton and yogurt dishes and rice. And my mom's stuff is all garlic and lemon and chilies and spices and dill. And she had to learn to cook his way. And then he eats sort of half of everything now, both of them. They've been together for like 60 years. But, it's very easy to forget lines and location and movement and restriction and occupation and all these things when it comes to it. And I agree with Fadi, and I think a lot of people do agree that it's okay to be proud and to stand up and say, this is Palestinian from the West Bank or from Jenin or Khalil or even smaller, tinier areas, because we're allowed to. We've had that taken away from us for so long. Not just Palestinians, Lebanese as well, and Syrians and Jordanians and Egyptians. It's not just us, but people always seem to have an issue when it comes to Palestinians. One lady's like, oh, you're hijacking the pomegranate and it's like, what? And the watermelon, we eat watermelon in Lebanon too. I said, so yeah, but it's a symbolic thing for us. I'm not saying that it's just for us, but they don't realize when we do things we're doing, it's not about them. It's about us and the Zionists, and that's it. And I think if people kind of step back and put their ego aside and just let us be who we are without trying to suffocate us like we have been for 77 plus God knows how many years, then maybe we would have a little bit more of a different area to discuss. But it's a tricky, emotional, sensitive subject.
Yeah. People go crazy about food in particular because it does represent a lot more than just food. We were talking about your book Palestine on a Plate in one of our team meetings, and Zina, who's a team member, she said that when Palestine on a Plate came out in 2016, it was a breath of fresh air because right before it, like maybe a couple of years before Palestine on a Plate came out, some Israeli books came out. And it was really like driving her crazy because like the recipes were actually Palestinian, and
Yeah.
she was like, "This is منزلة بتنجان. Why is it in an Israeli cookbook?" You know. And to be more specific, she was talking about ottolenghi. And for those who don't know who ottolenghi is, he's an Israeli chef. Yeah, we don't want to educate you about him, but he's an Israeli chef, and he has
from
released
Italian
a couple
origins.
of cookbooks.
Let's just say the actual fact. He's
Exactly.
Italian Jewish guy with Israeli nationality.
Citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
And he's published a couple of cookbooks. One is called Jerusalem, again going back to terminology, just to probably avoid saying Israeli.
Yeah.
And he has a chain of restaurants in London, and he had a Palestinian partner, so that could have made it like more digestible for some people. But it was problematic, and your book was a breath of fresh air because it felt like kind of a counter to what was happening back then. So I wanted to know from you whether this is how you felt as well, and maybe it did kind of like add to your drive to publish the book.
Yeah, I think what Ottolenghi and Sami Tamimi did was interesting. I think it was very, very difficult for a lot of people to understand why a Palestinian would be writing a book about our food with an Israeli or an Italian. And I get all of that, but I also at the same time I understand people's life journeys and their experiences, and that was Sami's experience and life journey, right? And he had to do that and go through it. I'm not here to judge or criticize anybody. I also was contributed into it. I mean, I hate to say this, but I mean, that book was burnt and it was stopped being published. Me and several other Palestinians were contributing to an Israeli-Palestinian book years ago. And we all got tricked into something. And it turned out to be not what we were told it was. And then they printed it and it was just a very, very huge mess. And then the book died immediately because everybody's lawyers came on top and we kind of closed it down. So I can understand where Sami came from. Again, it's each person's journey and experience. But yes, I think what he's doing now is amazing, and he's written his first book and his second book's just come out, Bustani and Falastin. And I think, you know, everybody has a space for redemption and, you know, space to really come into themselves. And he's shown that a lot in all his life. And he's always been a very big advocate for Palestine and Palestinians. That book was controversial. It still is. And I remember at the time, my publisher asked me if I wanted to have Yotam Ottolenghi give me a blurb on my book, because you get them from people. So I have Nigella Lawson on Beladi and Anthony Bourdain on Beladi. I have Sami Tamimi for Palestine on a Plate. And I was like, why would I get an Israeli, Italian, Jewish guy to quote on the front of my Palestinian book to give me credibility? Why? Who is he that he is more important to give me legitimacy? And they're like, yeah, but he's so famous. I said to her, I don't care. Like, I really have strong beliefs in things. I'd rather have no one back me than someone I don't believe in. And Ottolenghi literally made his fortune off Sami Tamimi's back. Sami's recipes is what made Ottolenghi Ottolenghi. Ottolenghi makes cakes. Sami Tamimi does the food. And nobody really kind of digs deep into that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Obviously, it's a black and white time, but I do feel like we also need to give people space to, you know, realize or like if they've become like disillusioned and they admit it and they acknowledge it, I think there should be room for these people, because cancellation also, like in its extremities, is not always the best solution in my eyes.
Yeah.
While I was stalking you on Instagram, if I had not known who you are, I wouldn't know that you're a chef almost, because ever since I went back to before October 7, just to see like the contrast, and ever since October 7, you've dedicated your platform completely to Palestine, and there's almost no post about
There
food.
isn't, not one.
And I found that to be extreme, because I know a lot of other accounts who have started, and I work in content creation. So even in my own, in the company I work at, we started obviously when the genocide started in October 7. We started posting about Palestine and we forgot about all other things, and we focused our attention on that. But this lasted for a couple of months, and then we started going back gradually.
Yeah.
And people somehow find their balance between promoting their own work but also talking about Palestine. But there's no balance
No.
when it comes to you. So I found that inspiring, and I wanted to know more about your how you decided to take this on.
Honestly, I couldn't think of anything worse than posting food online for me. When people are starving to death, and I have a lot of people from Gaza watching me and following me and messaging me and asking for help and food, and then I'm a chef. That's how I live, and I make my money, and I pay my bills and my rent, and I found other ways. I have a newsletter. I tell people to sign up there, and I send them things, if you want to come to an event or do this or do that or whatever it might be. But I will not post a single grain of rice on my Instagram page until Palestinians are eating. I will not do it. I cannot do it. I cannot sleep. Even I lost now like 18 kilos in the last 9 months. I can't eat, not because I stopped eating. I just physically can't eat. I feel sick every time I eat. I feel unwell. I have acid reflux. I'm not okay. I'm stressed, and I'm here and I'm safe and I'm watching this happening. And a lot of my friends are the same. They're just like, we can't eat. We feel sick. Like something's happened physically, like in our bodies. Like the thought of like posting a video or something about whatever, maqluba or msakhan or whatever you want, even a juice. I'm like, how could I justify this? What could I possibly write underneath this to say that it's okay to do that? Of course, they know that we're eating and that we're having showers and we're living, but they don't need to see it. They just don't need to see it, because it's punishing. It's punishment. It's torture. I think for me, if I put my head on my pillow at night and I feel like I've shared enough genocide, and people have seen it, then I did good that day, right? I can't justify it, I can't.
And how has this affected your followership and
honestly, I don't know.
your work?
My work is fine. Alhamdulillah, I've got, people who still, come to my events and come to things that I do, which is fine. I also have like 3 different jobs. I don't just do chef work, right? Because I like to do different things.
Oh, that's another surprise.
Yeah, I teach painting classes. I do cooking classes. I sell property. I do lots of things because I want to just do different things in my life. I don't want to just cook. I'm also getting older and I want to have like pain in my hands. But no, I don't think it's done much difference. Social media removes people off my page all the time. I don't care. Like, I still have enough to make an impact that people are going to see. I'm going to keep posting. And if they take my page down, they do. If they don't, they don't. But I'm not going to stop. I think, there's a time and a place for everything. And again, I'm a little bit judgmental about people who are posting things. I am not going to lie, because I just think it's inappropriate, because people are watching us. That's it.
True.
I'm just a black and white person, and I think we need to be more like that. We have to feel with people. These people are being murdered like every single minute of the day, and it's not just eventually for them to be free and Palestine to be free. The whole world is held hostage by Israel and the Zionists and America. And if people think that it's just Gaza and the occupied Palestinian territories. They're so wrong. This is coming everywhere. It's coming to all of the Middle East, like West Asia, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Turkey, Egypt, North Africa. And it's something that should give people chills up their spine, and maybe save the Matlube for something else. It's
True.
unnecessary, but I know people need to make money, right? And it's their jobs, and they make content to get paid, and I don't know, but is money more important than your soul?
And as you said, like maybe we need to think about creative ways to make up for that money and for our professions, but like away from social media at least. And it's a conversation we always have also, like at Tarwida, because you know, when we started this podcast, it was also after the genocide has started, and the point of the podcast was to celebrate Palestinian culture. And I've heard you saying that this was also part of your objective in both of your books, to celebrate Palestinian culture. And it's really very celebratory. Like Baladi is beautiful to look at. Again, no product placement, but like it's so pretty.
That's
it's
actually
so
my
pretty
favorite page
so
that you opened,
colorful.
where the woman is bending forward, and
This one, yeah.
I love that page.
I mean, I love it. I love it so much. And you wanted to show Palestine that is different from the one we see on the news. And this is also what we
Yes.
wanted. But at the same time, like, how much can we celebrate when there's a genocide happening right now? So we're always like asking ourselves, okay, we want to celebrate, but at the same time, like, maybe, I don't know, it's confusing. Like, how can we do both at the same time? Do we need to focus on one over the other?
I don't know. We can celebrate people by supporting their businesses, you know, buying their items, supporting GoFundMe pages, going to their events, their supper clubs, their parties, their music concerts. This is how we can celebrate it. We don't have to post about it, right? Not everyone has to see everything you do. I don't believe in this like time of our life. Like, oh my God, I walked down the street and I have to show everybody. Oh, I smelt a flower, I need to show it. There's too much of that. Just do things privately, invite people, do things, sell your products, do your thing, be creative, celebrate that way. It doesn't mean that you just sit and rot and don't say anything and let Palestine die, because you're doing a disservice to Palestinians and Palestine by hiding everything.
Exactly.
And in the books, for example, this is my celebration. Baladi was like, oh my God, I love it. It's a better book for me than Palestine on a Plate, because I had more freedom to do it. Baladi was my baby. Like, I did all the stuff for it and picked the photos for it, and all the pictures in there for the food were really my style. Palestine on a Plate, I love it. Don't get me wrong. It's like my first child. I don't have kids. Like, these are my kids that are going to be left in libraries all over the world after I'm gone. But Baladi is beautiful. It has over 100 pictures of Palestine, like walking through. We had people from all over Palestine taking photographs of the country, because my publisher at the time wanted to send some guy from London to take pictures. I was like, no, why would he take a photo like a tourist when we can take people's photos like of the things that they know and love the most? And that's how it came about. 15 people volunteered their photos, obviously paid them and gave them the books and credited them. And it's like just a connection. And, unfortunately, my publisher in the UK cancelled my book and stopped printing it after October 7th, which is a crime in itself. And they just kind of brushed it off like, oh, it's not doing well. Yes, it is, because I have a publisher in America and he told me otherwise. It shows you really where people stand. And not once have they messaged me asking me like, how are you doing? Everything okay? Do you have family there? Anyone in Gaza? Anyone in the West Bank? Anything? Nothing. It's just like, I had to even chase them to ask them, like, how come my book is out of print? Not out of stock. Out of print means they've stopped printing it. Like, oh, we felt it was the best decision because it's just not doing well. Like, what? Since 2018, and then suddenly 2023,
Exactly.
October 10th, you decided it's not doing well. So I have finally bought my rights back from them. So I will reprint it and sell it again. But that's for me celebrating Palestine, right? To get my thing back that I worked. She's like, don't take it personal. I'm like, what do you mean? You literally killed all my aunties and my mom in this book when you just cancelled it. Like, I spent 2 years writing it and checking it and photographing it, and don't take it personal, as like, God. Anyway, no
But
negative points, but
what did your American publisher tell you about the sales after October 7th? I was
no, he
interested to
said it
know
was
if
fantastic, because
okay,
people were wanting
okay.
to know about Palestinian food and Palestine in general, not just my books, but Michel Mushabbek and his team and Interlink Books, and I think his daughters and son-in-law taken over. And he's still very much active. People were buying every book that they had on Palestine, any book, because they wanted to know. People started to educate themselves and stop taking media as their gospel and really learning more
Exactly.
about our history. Because if you're uneducated in times like this, where you really need to know your stuff, because people will trip you up all the time trying to make you, make a mistake or say something that could be misinterpreted in some other way. And how we, and I say we collectively, have been doxxed being Palestinian or supporting Palestinian or being put in prison or arrested or losing your job or losing your book contract or whatever. It will turn where if you have supported Israel and Zionism, you will be doxxed, you will lose your job, you will get fired, you will get arrested. I am waiting. We've kept receipts for all these people who've been silent, watching us suffer. Suffering such a first world problem. We're not suffering. We're suffering in a very stupid way. Suffering of Gaza is suffering, but let's just say it in this way. We have suffered our incomes and our jobs and what have you, and it affects our lives. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen that if you have stood on the wrong side, not just on Israel-Palestine, as a human, you're going to get doxxed and your life is going to be miserable.
Yeah, I think we're all waiting for that moment,
Yeah.
inshallah, and we're witnessing it. I mean, we're witnessing some changes, obviously, on the ground. And until then, I'm remembering Rula Azar. She's an amazing Palestinian singer
Amazing.
we've interviewed before, and she put it very nicely. She said, "We are more than the occupation," which means that we do still need to celebrate our culture and tell people who we are as Palestinians. But at the same time, it's a nuance between doing that and speaking out about the genocide, obviously. But it's like kind of like going back and forth between these two pendulums, I would say.
Yeah.
Because if we only focus on the genocide, which I think we should, obviously, but we don't want occupation to define ourselves. So
Absolutely.
it's very hard, and we keep like discussing this over and over again.
It will end, and we won't have to be put together hand in hand with them all. I get so sick and tired. I'll tell you something, a very quick, long story, but I'm going to make it very short. I did a dinner with my publisher for Beledi, and she invited 20 press for a dinner. I cooked for them. Every single one of them, one by one, told me they were not going to write about me. And this is what books publishers do. They invite press so they can see your book and then talk about it, post it online and in their newspapers and so on. So I was like, so why did you come? You're only supposed to come if you're going to write something. You're not going to eat free food and sit with people and have a social night and then not do what you're here for. And they're like, oh, but how do we write about Palestine? It's so controversial. I was like, isn't it more controversial that Israel is an occupying, genociding, apartheid enforcing entity, illegally occupying our land? Isn't that more controversial than the occupied? They're like, oh, but how do we write about Palestine without Israel? I'm like, why do you need to connect the two? One is an occupier, illegally occupying, like within every law globally, an occupied people. I was like, stop speaking. I went to my publisher. I'm like, who are these people that you invited? I spent like 2 days cooking food for all these idiots who are not writing about this. I just left. I was so upset. I didn't care to be in a newspaper. I just cared about the question she asked me. How do we write about you without them? And what can we say? It's so controversial to write about you. I was like, is it? Like, I don't know, I just like, you know what? I can't talk to these people because there's no conversation to have. And like you said, Rula Azad, she was saying like, yes, that is part of us, but then also we have to celebrate this. And you can't sort of take them out of each other. But I will happily wait for that day where Palestinians can be who they are, how they used to be and how they will be, with no connection to Zionists ever. Because we were something before, we still are something, and we will become who we used to be without them. And that's it.
Inshallah, I
Inshallah.
have. يعني maybe we won't see it like our generation, but
We
I do
will.
believe that it
We will.
We will,
Put
wallah.
it out.
طب,
Yes,
you're
we
more
will.
hopeful than me.
Yes, yes, we will. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening in front of
Yeah.
our eyes.
Amazing,
Yeah,
amazing.
it's
I want to be
happening.
wrong about this.
You will be.
Um,
I'll call you. I will.
Going back to social media, I was wondering what you think about the future of cookbooks, because now, especially our generation, the way they're receiving and the reading recipes is through these like very quick reels on social media that are kind of like, for me, like, or if, for someone who likes slow media, it's kind of ridiculous. I'm like, I didn't even hear you. Like, why is it times 2? Why is everything times 2?
Yeah.
But this is what's actually getting attention. So how do you see the future of cookbooks? Do you think you will be writing a new cookbook, or would it be digital? Like, how would it look
Absolutely.
like?
I think cookbooks will always do well. I like to see things online, and I do look at recipes and I'm like, oh my gosh, I follow them, but they're also quite difficult because it's just fast and you have to replay it again and again.
Exactly.
But I will always buy a cookbook of somebody that I like, if they have an online vlog or a blog or whatever you want to call it, because there's nothing like opening it and touching it and smelling it and getting it dirty. I mean, I use my own books because I can't remember all the recipes. All the savory recipes, I can remember them, but the pastries and things I can't. But all my books have like splattered chocolate and oil and, chili sauce and shatta on them. And I love it. A lot of people buy a new book. I think the more dirty your book is, the better it is. It just means that you love it so much. And I am definitely writing another book. I am writing another book. I can't tell you too much about it, but it's going to be fantastic and very much in conversation, connection to the conversation that we've been having today. And it's still at the beginning of stages of it, and it's a collaboration with a few people. So it's
amazing.
I would not do it if I didn't think books had no chance left.
I mean, I would personally much rather get a cookbook because it's slower and I'm a slower person.
Yeah.
But like, I can see my generation, like, they're crazy fast. And
yeah, I'm like you. I'm a slower person. I like to absorb things properly, slowly, listen to things, really understand them. I feel overwhelmed with things when it's happening too fast. But I do get that, like the 30-second clip.
Yeah.
I do them sometimes, and I'm like, oh, this is crap. And then you have the most engagement because people's attentions, it's practical, it's fast. People's attention spans are very short. So that 30 seconds of you thinking is garbage. What did you just say? It hit 17 spots and everyone heard it. But yeah, I get it. But no, old-fashioned stuff is always a classic. Yeah, and you get to hold it and keep it, and yeah.
Thank you so much, Judy. Maybe lastly, we'd love to know more about your future plans. I know you're doing a lot of supper clubs right now, and you told us about your upcoming book, which we are very excited about. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I would love people to know really that when you buy my North American version of my cookbooks through Interlink Books or anywhere from North America and the Middle East, you are buying a book with a cause. Interlink Books does charitable work with most of the cookbooks that they've done. Beledi and Palestine on a Plate donate a huge sum towards the House of Friendship in Nablus, where they have renovated the school, which helps children. And we've been doing that since 2016, and it's 2025. So there's been a lot of work going into it. And I think it's important to I don't really say it that much to people, because I think when you do charity work, you shouldn't say anything, but then you want people to engage and get stuff so the charity does better. But I say it once every 2 or 3 years. But it is important to know that most people who are doing things for Palestine, with Palestine, or about Palestine always have a charitable thing. Like my supper clubs, I do them. The money that I make profit, I donate it towards trauma therapy, where people in Gaza can have Zoom calls with these people to teach them coping techniques to help them manage. I mean, how can you? But they are having good results with it. to help them sort of just take every day a little bit easier, even though it's like a nightmare. So that's where this money goes to. Every month was a different charity. One was for Fajr Scientific, one was for not Medical Aid for Palestine, Doctors Médecins Sans Frontières. There's always somewhere where you're giving to. So I think people should really acknowledge that, and engage with it. And support other people and pass the message on, because these things are so important. Every Palestinian you meet is an activist by default or by choice or whatever it might be, and there's always a story behind a story behind a story. So just ask more questions and you'll get more answers, and maybe shed some more light onto things that you might not have known before. And don't be scared to ask us. We're so happy to talk and tell people what's going on, because we've been our stories have been told by other people for too long, and I think it's been a long time coming for us to actually use our own voices to tell our stories, whether they're tragedies or beautiful poems or things about our culture and our family and our clothing, heritage, history and our roots. It's time to reclaim that.
And we'll leave all the links for the books and for the supper clubs in the description. So make sure whoever is listening, make sure to visit the pages. Thank you so much, Judy. This was such a pleasure.
Thank you.
The conversation was very insightful. You answered a lot of my existential questions. So thank you for that.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And inshallah, we'll meet soon in person.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you so much for your time. It was so lovely speaking to you and getting everything off my chest. Hopefully other people will enjoy it and
I'm sure
connect
they
to
will.
it. Thank you.